Gracious God, creator of the universe, and yet the lover of my soul. Alpha and Omega, and yet I can call you friend. I don't have to beg you for anything, but I can thank you for everything. God, I thank you because this is the day that you have made, and I can rejoice and be glad in it. Thank you for this day of magnificence and glory and splendor. God, I thank you for life, health, and for strength. I thank you for soundness of mind. I thank you for peace, love, and joy. I thank you for the essence of you that envelops me right now, from the crown of my head to the soles of my feet. We thank you for this day of manifestation. We thank you for the day of revelation. We thank you for the day of impartation. We thank you as you move in the midst of your people to bring us to the greatest times that we've ever seen since the foundation of the world. Thank you, Lord, that for this time and for this season, you've allowed us to be a part of your move in the face of the earth. I thank you, God, for the revolution that you're bringing forth, God, even in the midst of the earth right now. And I thank you for the opportunity to be a part of what you're doing in this hour, because in the last days, saith God, you said you would pour out your spirit on all flesh. And so now we thank you for the pouring out. God, I thank you for the rain and the move of your spirit. I thank you for fresh oil. I thank you for new wine. I thank you for the new thing that you're doing. I thank you now that it does spring forth. I thank you, Lord, that you've called us to be the head and not the tail. You've called us to be above only and not beneath. You've called us to be the lender and not the borrower. You've called, God, that our storehouses would be full and increase. God, I thank you because even I decree and declare that the people under the sound of my voice, even now, are moving in the might of your strength. Not by might nor by power, but by your spirit. I thank you for those that are the sons and daughters of God that are called because they walk not after the flesh, but after your spirit. I thank you for the rising up of the people of your kingdom. I thank you that your kingdom come. I thank you that your will be done, even now in earth as it is in heaven. I thank you, Lord, because you are moving in the midst of your people mightily as never before. Raise us up, oh God, to the standard of what you've called us to be. God, I thank you for the standard of greatness. I thank you for the standard of holiness. I thank you for the standard of moving as the sons and daughters of yours, and not as vagabonds, not as those that never knew you, not as those that are confused and confounded, but God, those that know who they are in you. I thank you for the knowing. I thank you, God, for knowing you. I thank you for knowing your presence. Thank you for knowing your Holy Ghost power that gives us the ability to be successful. Your anointing that gives us the power to rise up and be called blessed. Thank you for that is in us. Thank you, God, for all things that pertain to life and godliness. Thank you because we are not confused. We are not deceived. And we thank you for that clarity of mind and the clarity of vision that allows us to walk forth as kings and queens, as princes and princesses in the kingdom that walk in the earth. We thank you that we are your beloved, and we rise up as the apple of your eye. We rise up, oh God, as those that you love with all of your heart. And God, we love you back. I thank you for soundness of mind. I thank you for soundness of spirit. I thank you that healing is our bread. Healing is our deliverance. By the stripes of Jesus, we're already healed. And we speak forth that healing even now for those that need it. Thank you, God, for every stripe that was taken. Thank you for the bruising. Thank you that he was wounded for our transgressions, bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him. God, with those same stripes we declare and we speak healing in Jesus' name. We give you glory, we give you peace, we give you honor, we give you blessing, we give you might. We ascribe all of these things unto you because they are yours. Thank you, the fruit of my lips giving thanks unto your name, ever giving you all that is yours. Glory, honor, power, dominion, majesty. It's yours. I decree it and I speak it In the mighty name of Jesus, it is so. Amen and amen.
Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. I want to welcome you to today's edition of Yes You O Cubed. What does O Cubed stand for? One-on-one, because it's just me and you. And today, I appreciate all of you that helped me to pivot past the Discord and just sat and waited patiently and gave me updates as to whether there was sound or no sound. Because I need that. I need that communique. And you all, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I got to start with that. As I said, Dr. Dady Priest, and she's in the room, y'all. Dr. Dady Priest said you got to pivot past the Discord. And sometimes my side piece, y'all. Listen, Tall Pumps, my side piece is already loose this morning. So listen, I appreciate you all. And of course, I'm always grateful to the Rebel Inc. who talks me through all my problems and helps me get to a solution. So listen, when I tell you all, I had tried everything I could think to try. And the Rebel Inc. said, now try this. And so thank you, Rebel. I'm telling you, these are my mods, y'all. These are my mods. They are absolutely positively awesome. And I appreciate them for the wisdom that they bring to my technology challenged self. Now, today is it crashed because you were on time. Michelle, because you were on time. Listen, I think in all honesty, as Dr. Dady said, there are updates going on, obviously, because I ain't touched nothing. But all my settings had changed, cheering. All my settings had changed. So, you know, I can get a message out of that. Sometimes in life, it seems like the things that have been your norm, the things that have been your go-to, all of a sudden you haven't done anything, but it seems like none of that is working. You better check and see, was there an update in your life? There's probably some updates that happen, and you just need to go back and check and see what they are, and then govern yourselves accordingly. Now, as we look at today, this is Yes You O Cubed, one-on-one, just me and you, and I am your spiritual thought leader, Regina L. Stillman. And listen, it is August the 11th. I've got a dear friend. I want to give a shout out to him, none other than the Bishop Odell D. Talley. Today is his birthday, as well as my dear, dear, dear sister cousin, Linda Didell. Those are some awesome, beautiful people to me in my life. And even though they're not here in the channel, I just want to speak their names and just appreciate them for who they are. And another 365 around the sun. I'm so happy for y'all. And I'm so glad God put you in my life. So yes. I just want to put that energy out there in the air. August the 11th is an awesome day, and some beautiful people born on August the 11th. Now, you know how we get this party started, and you know how we get this party crack-a-lacking. I like to come around and see who came into the VIP section and who all is in there bringing the love, joy, soul, peace, and happiness. I tell you what, these are all everybody in the Lion's Den is beautiful. So, you know, I just don't... I've got probably one of the most loving, beautiful, awesome spaces on the internet. Because listen, y'all make it that way. You absolutely positively make it that way. Now let's see who came into the Lion's Den this morning and who was perched up and ready to go. I believe we had 1, 2, 3, 4 folks that came in this morning. I want to give an honorable mention to Miss Fabulous, otherwise known as Mel Holiday. Thank you for coming in. That's our head usher. And yesterday was her birthday. And we are still celebrating her. We're going to celebrate. She said Leo's rule. She's been saying that for a few days. So listen, we were glad that she let me. I thought yesterday was her birthday, but I just wasn't sure. You know how you have those dates that are kind of looming in the back of your mind, and it's kind of like, I think it's this day. But when she came in, I didn't hear anything from her. So I said, okay, maybe I'm off. Maybe I'm off a day or two. And as we were leaving, she confirmed that yesterday was her birthday. So much love coming to you always from the Lions Den Mail. We just wouldn't be the Lions Den without you. Where else would we get? Go for a ride and come back alone. Because yes, you brought that to us and we use it most effectively. And then I'm not even going to talk about that other word. I'm not even going to mention that other word. I'm going to let that hang out there in the balances for a few minutes. Now, the three that came in and the three that are really, I tell you, I appreciate them for their diligence. I think they come in just about every day, one way or the other, and I appreciate that. And the third person in the Lions Den this morning, all the way from the UK, Din Darn, you did that, sis. Good morning, and thank you. Go ahead and get on that love seat right over there. I need a pic of you, Din Darn. I need a picture of your beautiful face so I can flash that up there. And thank you again for coming in early this morning from the UK. I love you, sis. Now, the second person in the Lions Den that's going to sit on the love seat with Din Darn this morning is none other than MCP812. Thank you, MCP812, also known as Two Tams, short for Two Tambourines. That's my sister cousin, and I love you, girl. I love you. And good morning, and go ahead and get your lips, hips, and fingertips right over there on that love seat next to Din Darn. Thank you so much for coming in. I mean, they were coming in early, y'all. They were coming in early, and I appreciate you. But the winner of Grandpa Holmes's chair is none other than Kai Chick, you did that. You are the winner of Grandpa Holmes's chair. Go ahead and get your lips, get your hips, get your fingertips. Go ahead and sit right on over there, sis. Right on over there. Congratulations, Kai Chick. You are the winner of Grandpa Holmes's chair. And I appreciate you. Yes, y'all, that's the evangelist of Twitch. That's the evangelist of the Lions Den. She goes into the highways and hedges and compels folks to come into the Lions Den. I love you so much, Kai Chick. I love you so much. I tell you, beautiful people, and I love every last one of you. Thank you so much for coming in. And that 12 o'clock hour, y'all lurking and working out there. I mean, y'all not playing with that 12:00. And I appreciate you for being so diligent to make sure there's plenty of love, plenty of soul, plenty of peace, joy, and happiness when the rest of us get here in the morning. So much love to you. Now, you know what we do right here. We like to go ahead and appreciate all of our moderators, because listen, I'm just like this morning, I just can't make it without them. They give me all the heads up and what I need to do. I appreciate these beautiful ladies. Up above my head, I hear thunder in the air. There must be a Shelly Thunder somewhere. Yes, Shelly Thunder, I call her the prophetess. And she comes in, baby, and she gives it to us and takes care of us in a very special way. Then, of course, we have the leader of the pack, none other than the galactic supervisor. As I said, no, she's not your district supervisor. She's not your state supervisor. She's not your national supervisor. She's the galactic supervisor. Yes, none other than the Rebel Inc., who we will be joining as she is a part of a raid train for Beauty for You and her mother. We will be joining her immediately following this stream. So please ride with me, and we're going to go over and jump over into her channel later on this morning. If you're not following the Rebel Inc., quit your wicked ways. And I want you to go out there and follow. Hit that notification button and get the updates of when she's coming on. And if you would, please, ma'am, sir, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. She'll bless your whole life. Now be a blessing back to her. If she's blessing you, please bless her right on back, because she is a whole blessing. And then, of course, last but certainly not least, my sister that's on time today and crashed my channel. Yes, because she was on time. She crashed my channel. She and my side piece studio got in collusion together and shut my studio down. We couldn't get any sound, not one sound. Michelle Brownell changes the atmosphere just by being present. And when she's on time, she really changes the atmosphere, because the atmosphere can't believe she's on time, y'all. They can't believe she's on time. But yes, that is the Blessed Trinity. And the third part, I call her the silent. I'll tell you what, I love her so much. I love her so. I see you cracking up over there. And you know, Michelle, you know I love you. All three of these ladies are just beautiful for situation. They not only mod here in the Lion's Den, but mod other places as well, and do such an effective job of it. Den Darn, I see you cracking up. Listen, thank you for that mod love. The Rebel Inc., Den Darn, Kai Chick, Cassandra Woke, come on here, Joanna G, Tall Pumps, MCP 812, Stacy, BTD Mom. I appreciate you all that mod love flowing up in here for my three beautiful angels. Now, you know how we do it. You know where we are right now. I like to say good morning to everybody, and I appreciate you for being here in the Lion's Den. So go ahead, get your coffee cup out, get your coffee cup out, get your coffee cup out. Because as my mother would say, when you come into the room, speak to somebody. So this is my time just to come around and tell each of you thank you. And I got to give you a huge thank you this morning for your patience while we were having technical difficulty. I see you, Stacy 546. I see you, Den Darn BTD Mom. I see those coffee cups. Now listen. The Rebel Inc., yes, the Galactic Supervisor. Good morning to you. She's in the room, you all. Dr. Dady Priest. I see those cups, MCP 812. Dr. Dady Priest is the High Priestess, and she's in the room even as we speak. I tell you what, engagement matters, and she will bless your whole life. If you're not following Dr. Dady Priest, what's wrong with you, child? What's wrong with you? She'll bless your whole entire life and help you to learn how to pivot past the discord. Quit your wicked ways, and please follow Dr. Dady Priest. That's my girl. Good morning to you, my friend. So much love. Stacy 546, I see you, dear. So much love. I'm coming and I'm looking and I'm booking and I'm checking out who's in the room. Joanna G98, I see you, my friend and my sister. Come on in here. Stacy, thank you for 14 months in a row. Thank you for that resub, my sister. I appreciate you, and mad love coming to you all day long. Oh, thank heaven for 7-Eleven, because it brought us Kim Possible, the pastor from the ATL. And I know she's lurking and getting ready to do some traveling right now. But good morning to you, Kim Possible. Thank you for checking in, and thank you for hosting the stream. I appreciate you. I do. She is one part of our Good Grief stream that we do every Friday, 12 o'clock high noon, right here in this channel. She and Crazy Berry Town. I'm telling you what, if you are going through any kind of grief for any situation, not just loss of a loved one, but any kind of loss, and you want to know and be with others that know that you're not alone and can share your journey and share in the journey with others, Good Grief is where you want to be. They will bless your whole life. Now, coming on down, I see you, MCP 812. That's my two Tams. That's my sister cousin right there. So much love coming to you, and hugs and kisses and everything. Coming on down, and I'm looking and I'm booking and I'm checking out, seeing who is in the house. Truck driver. That's my Mufasa, y'all. That's my Mufasa. Come on in here. That's my Lion King. That's my brother from another mother. Come on in here. I love you. Good to see you this morning. Den Darn. Yes, Den Darn is in the room. And listen, when we had some technical difficulty, mother started praying, y'all. She went straight into prayer and started praying and coming on through with that word to release this podcast stream so it could go forth. I appreciate you, sis. I looked over while I was trying to get everything together. I said, Mother ain't playing. She done went into serious prayer. I love it. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you for that. Come on, I appreciate. Let me see, Dr. Dady Priest. Thank you for 14 months in a row. I appreciate you for that resub. So much love to you, my dear. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your support. Now, let's see where we are, and I'm looking downtown. Melvin Brown, he's in the room, y'all. This is my brother from the KC. I love you, my brother. Good morning to you. Come on in the room, and I appreciate you joining me on this fine day. Looking, and I'm booking, and I'm gonna see if anybody came in the basement while I was upstairs, y'all. Kai Chick, she's in the room, y'all. That is the evangelist of the Lion's Den, because when I tell you she goes out into the highways and hedges and compels folks to come into the Lion's Den, I'm not playing. I appreciate you, my sis. Michelle Brownell, my quiet storm. She's the reason why we crashed and burned this morning, y'all. Good morning to you, but I'm so glad that you're here. I absolutely positively am. Oh my goodness, and I'm looking and I'm booking and I'm seeing BTD Mom. Good morning to you, my sister. So much mad love coming to you. I appreciate you for just being in the room. I'm looking and I'm checking out who else is here. And it looks like, are we coming down? Tall Pumps is pumping tall. Good morning to you, my friend. Come on in here and let's have a chit chat on today. Let's just talk about it. Now, looking, and Cassandra Woke 2022 is here. Good morning, my beautiful sister. Listen, I'm always happy to see you in the room because you bless me. You bless my bones. You just bless my bones. And I appreciate you. Now, looking and I'm checking out who else may have come in while I was upstairs. And as I always like to also include, even if you're not in my chat, if you're just out there auditing and holding space and sitting in the Lion's Den in love, I'm glad that you're here and your presence is not unappreciated. Your presence is not unnoticed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because again, you beautiful people are the reason why we do this on a daily, and you just make it worth my while. I love you so much. And let's get started. Now, thank you. Get your coffee cups out, get your coffee cups out, get your coffee cups out. Because listen, while we slumbered, slept, and slobbered, what had happened was, there are a few things that happened whilst we slumbered, slept, and slobbered. So let's get busy. Now, I'm going to open up. I see your coffee cup, Kai Chick. I want to start with news from Views. And those are our viewers that have sent information in this morning. I appreciate you for always being diligent. Jabez came in. Jabez is heated. He said, delete Facebook. They've shown us to be exactly who they are. There's a whole lot going on with Facebook, y'all. And I do have to say that as well. I'm not so much saying, as he said, delete it. But they doing some dastardly things out there on the good book. So y'all just, excuse me, pay attention. There's a lot of activity that I would have to say. I'm not going to get into all of that today, but I've seen different ones talking about things that the good book has been doing. And I don't think it's anything new, but man, I tell you, they really doing something. So at the end of the day, I want to go here. And as a matter of fact, this is the same story, I think, that Auntie Diddy, if Auntie Diddy is out there, I know a lot of times she's in the stream, but she's not chatting. She just is in the stream supporting and loving. But she does send in news from Views, and I appreciate her for that. And so, yes, that is what Jabez is referring to. And I don't have all of the backstory on that, but I will share what she brought. Now listen, they're in the streets this morning, y'all. DJ Neek 10, come on in here, sis. Neek is here. Neek done sneaked up in here. Neek done sneaked up in here. And I'm so glad that you're here, my sister. So much love coming to you. Now, here we see there's a lot of uproar going on right now in Nebraska for a woman that has been charged for helping her daughter have an abortion. Now, y'all know how the statutes that they're coming up with now, they're saying anybody that helps somebody to get an abortion, they're just as guilty as the person that gets the abortion, and, you know, just all kinds of crazy things. So this is my thing, and this is my conversation I'd love to have, and especially in a country where we talk about people's freedom and people's rights. Now, I'm not asking you, it's not up to you and your opinion as to whether or not someone has a right to do with their body as they choose. The issue is it's their right to do with themselves what they feel and choose and select is best for themselves. Now, so at the end of the day, this whole issue and you know, I just, why America wants to get on their high horse in so many areas and try to be so holy and so whatever. Now, at the end of the day, can we say this? Separation of church and state. The United States of America is not a Christian country. And for some of you all, that is extremely offensive to hear. But this is the idea and the ideals of the United States, as we say. Everybody has freedom of religion to operate and practice in their religion as they want to. Good morning, Scratch Wolf. Come on in here. So good to have you this morning. Thank you for coming back. So much love coming to you. Now, this is where I want to differentiate, because the issue is not whether or not you believe a thing is right or wrong. The issue is a person's right to live as they believe, to choose as they believe, and do as they believe. So I'm going to say that once more and again. And please hear me when I say I honor those that choose to be atheists. Aunt Azalea, good morning to you. Come on in here, and it's good to see you. Thank you for coming back this morning. So this is what I'm trying to differentiate in our minds. And for whatever reasons, the United States, while we'll be just as raggedy and ratchet and dastardly on other issues of humanity, we'll get hooked and hung up on a particular area and just lose our whole entire minds. And we want to get real religious with it. So I'm going to say this, and yes, I am a spiritual thought leader. I'm going to say this, and yes, I do believe in God. I am Christian, and anybody that wants to start doing all that, child, I thought she was this and I thought she was that. Say what you want to say. You're not going to hurt my feelings because I'm secure in who I am. But I'm going to say it once more and again. This is not a Christian country. Why, oh, why we cannot get that through people's heads is amazing to me, especially since we supposedly left England because we wanted separation of church and state. So at the end of the day, why do you then turn around and oppress people with the same things that you allegedly left and went to a whole nother land for, and oppressed those people and took their lands away from them, took their rights away from them, took everything away from them of the indigenous that were already here, because the country was populated when you got here. You killed them off with smallpox and everything else so you could have it, and you did it accidentally on purpose, I might add. Why, oh, why do we feel that we are authorized to tell people what they can and cannot do with their bodies? The issue becomes one of you have the right to do as you will without somebody standing over you trying to tell you what to do or not to do with your body. Now, I want to additionally pull out the hypocrisy that's in this, because at the end of the day, this is patriarchy and misogyny in its finest form, because you're not saying anything about the men with the peen going around spreading their semen from sea to shining sea. You're not saying anything about the men with the peen going out here and spreading their seed everywhere. You're not saying anything to the men with the peen. You just want to get the woman and tell her once you're impregnated, you cannot have an abortion. Now, this is what I feel about that. If you're going to be as righteous as you're trying to act like you're righteous, I don't know how you can have anti-abortion legislation without having some kind of legislation for the brethren. So you're saying, what kind of legislation can we have for the brother? DNA don't lie. DNA from sea to shining sea, Dr. Dady Priest. From sea to shining sea, they're spreading this semen everywhere. So at the end of the day, if you're really not going to be hypocritical, if you're really not going to be misogynistic, if you're really not going to be patriarchal, then listen, Dana don't lie. When the women get pregnant, go ahead and do that DNA exam on that woman. For everybody that says she has to have the baby, go ahead and get some DNA from that baby. I'm trying to tell y'all, this is how we going to fix the problem. Get some DNA from that baby. Let the mother tell you who impregnated her. Get that Dana and match it up, and let the brethren have one of two choices. Either you're going to start talking about whether or not you're going to insist that this man that has impregnated this woman and given her a child, either that man, after he's been identified by DNA, because Dana don't lie. Now, y'all remember, you know how they know Dana don't lie? I'm trying to tell you. Y'all remember Bill, my boy Bill, Billy Boy, oh, where have you been, Billy Boy, oh, where have you been, Charming Billy? I have been to Monica Lewinsky. Yeah, where have you been, Billy Boy? Billy Boy said, I ain't been there. I have not been there. I absolutely positively have not been there. This woman is lying. She lying. I had to go over and get some of Rebel's stream. She lying. Where have you been, Charming Billy? Billy Boy said, I ain't been there. Monica came out and said, I got a dress. I got a dress.
Why you always lying?
Y'all ain't ready for me. Monica said, I got a dress with droppings on it. I got a dress with drippings on it. I got a dress that will testify in my behalf. Y'all ain't ready for me. And when Billy Boy found out that Monica had a navy blue dress with gravy all over it, yes, a navy blue dress with gravy all over it where the meat had been. You understand what I'm saying? A navy blue, save the gravy, Scratch Wolf, save the gravy. Dresses don't lie, Aunt Azealia. Dresses just don't lie. Where the meat had been, there was still gravy on the dress. And baby, when Monica came through with the drip, that man said, yes, I've been in an inappropriate relationship, because he knew Monica. She's singing, baby. Monica kept it in a dry cleaning bag. Do you understand? She preserved it for the day of witness. Nick, I'm trying to tell you. Because he knew Billy Boy. He knew Dana don't lie. And once they analyzed that gravy on her dress where the meat had been, it's going to tell a testimony, and it is going to show it was my meat. It was my meat that was on the plate. So at the end of the day, the same way, he kept saying it, Royal Confession. He did not have relations with that woman. Good morning, Royal Confessions. There's my iron. Come on in here. He kept trying to tell us he did not have relations with that woman till they got that gravy off the plate where his meat had been. Then that joker turned that story around. Baby, you know we got the millennials do that segment, turn that thing around. Baby, he turned that thing around because he knew good and well once they got that DNA, Dana was going to testify. You lying. Listen.
Why you always lying?
Now, the same way, come on, Kai Chick, you know how we do it in here. We take this coffee strong and black. No cream, no sugar. We take it strong and black because we tells it like it T-I-Z tis. Now, the same way, y'all ain't ready for me this morning. The same way, Groove Now, come on in here. Good to see you this morning. So much love coming to you. The same way, Billy Boy. Oh, where have you been, Billy Boy? He knew it was about to tell on him. He'd been there. Yes, he has been here, right here on this blue dress. He came and he went. Yes, he did. The same way he knew he was about to be exposed, that joker came and started telling the truth. So this is what I'm saying. If we're going to holler and scream about these abortions, baby, Dana, I want Dana on every last baby that you refuse to give an abortion to the mother. I want Dana to insist who the daddy is. I want Dana to talk. I want Dana to open her mouth wide. I want Dana, they've been opening their mouth wide and feeling it all right. I want Dana to come forth and speak. I want Dana to speak boldly and say, yeah, they've been here. And once you identify who has been there, I want whoever that other half, I want whoever that male person is, I want them to be required to provide support for that child for the entirety of that child's life until they are grown and mature. Or if they refuse to give some support, then I feel like they need to automatically, if they refuse, thank you for hosting. Listen, DNA come forth. It did come, and now that it's forth, I need it to be analyzed. This is how we gonna fix this. Dana don't lie, baby. Diablo and his brothers can't stand DNA because it's like Jesus. It tells the truth. You better say it, Cassandra Woke. So this is how we gonna fix this for everybody. Because listen, some of these pastors in the pulpit, Dana gonna catch them if we get a DNA test. Some of these deacons on the deacon board, Dana gonna catch them if you understand what the words that are coming out of my mouth. Some of these people in political offices, Dana gonna catch them if we draw some DNA and start saying for every individual that has lain down with this woman and produced a child, you got two choices. You got the choice of support. You got S&S. It's S&S. Either you're going to support or you're going to be sterilized. One of the two. Either you're going to support this child for the duration of its life or you're agreeing to be sterilized if Dana proves and supports that this is your child and you refuse to take care of your child. And listen, let's put in this caveat. Listen, politicians, sport figure, we gonna have everybody, Neek. Everybody gonna be in that number. But now you gotta talk about Dana from the every male and keeping him in the system. Listen, y'all, they can collect whatever they need to collect at birth. They can collect whatever they need to collect at birth, y'all. They do everything else to us when we're born. They can collect that at birth and let it sit in the database system. And when it matches up, bam, ding, 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 ding. There it is. Wait a minute. Let me see if I might have a ding over here. Listen. Because listen, once you max that up, yes, once you match it up, you feel S&S in your shondo. I'm trying to tell you, you got S&S men. You got S&S. Now, I want them to write this in. You got either support that child throughout the entirety of its life, and I want it documented. Support this child's life throughout its entirety, or sterilization. And this is the caveat I want in there, Cassandra. If at some point the father drops out and refuses or ceases to provide support for that child, it's automatic sterilization. Get them balls, ballies. Get them balls, cut it. I want a vasectomy on the way. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? I I want a vasectomy on the way. If you fail to provide support for this child that you have produced, since we can't have abortion now that did you hear me say ballies? If we cannot have an abortion for the women that are saying for whatever reason, listen, did I see Miss Bobbitt in the room? Tall Pumps. What was her name? Bobbitt. Yeah, Lorena. I see Lorena Bobbitt in the room. I see Lorena Bobbitt in the room. Tall Pumps. I see you. And so at the end of the day, you know what, Den Darn, when we talk about who impregnated her, most people can tell you who it was. Or again, if we start going on a situation of rape and other things, baby, I'm telling y'all, put that DNA in the system, put that DNA in that database so that we can find out who's spreading their semen all across from sea to shining sea. And listen, that's why we got this, and you know the song. Papa was a rolling stone, wherever he laid his hat was his home. And listen, Papa and his rolling stone and his rolling balls will stop rolling from sea to shining sea if we start making Papa pay for them babies. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? If we made Papa pay for all them babies he done strewn all across the countryside, Papa either gonna put it up or wrap it up. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? He's either gonna put it up or wrap it up, but he ain't gonna be out here from sea to shining sea, spreading his seed abroad. Save the DNA just as they save fingerprints. That's all I'm saying, Roll Confessions. It can be done. It can be done. And it shall be done. I feel a prophetic right there. It shall be done. Let me get my preacher voice. It shall be done. It shall be done. Get these brothers. Get their DNA. Get it on the books. Just like your fingerprints. I want that DNA on the books. Oh, and once it's on the books, I want it to speak, Lord, speak. Speak to my soul. Speak to that child. Speak with dollar bills. Speak with money, and money that's not funny. Speak, Lord, speak with the DNA. Oh, speak. Yes, I felt that in my shondo. Yes, let that DNA speak. And you got the S and S for your choices, brethren. You either got support throughout the whole entire life, or you got sterilization. And that's how we gonna fix all of this insanity that they keep wanting to put out here about women's bodies and the right to have an abortion should they need one or want one. Because at the end of the day, it's not your decision, because you don't have to carry nothing. You don't have to take care of nothing. You don't have to provide for nothing. And so, listen, I need y'all to have a seat somewhere. Just sit down. I just need you to go ahead, sit down, and have all the seats, because at the end of the day, you ain't got no responsibility. You sure don't have a right to tell me what to do with my body. So, at the end of the day, I'm just, this whole topic of abortion and this whole, I had to hold my tongue. I was at a church down here recently, since I've been here in the Texas, and brother has an issue with women in the pulpit, and then he obviously got on his discussion about abortion. And I don't care what y'all Christians say, it's still wrong, and the law is right. I wanted to tell that man, sit down somewhere and be quiet. And who knows how many children you got scattered abroad. Shelby Nicole Cosplay, come on in the room, and so much love to you. you, my sister. So much love to you. Shelby is a streamer, y'all. She's a streamer and an entrepreneur. Please go out there and support my sister. So much love coming to you. God bless you. Twyna's Twitch, good morning to you, sis. Good morning. And she is also a streamer in equality, and I appreciate you. Come on in here and y'all follow her if you would. So at Groove Now, listen, because some of them same ones in the pulpits is the ones out there chasing them ladies' skirts and everything else. So you know, I just no respect for that. I don't have any respect for that. You can talk to me all day long. He's a man of God, and you know he's human just like everybody else. I need you to wrap your stuff up. I need you to, number one, get with your wife and leave the ladies alone. And number two, don't be talking to me about it's your right to birth this child if you laid down and had the pleasure of getting it. Well, they didn't have pleasure by themselves. Because many women know how to pleasure themselves by themselves and they don't come up pregnant. Huh? I said what I said. Many women know how to pleasure themselves by themselves and they don't come up pregnant. Let's be clear. So y'all stop with the foolishness. Stop with the foolishness. And again, I said it and I'll say it again and again. At the end of the day, it's patriarchy and misogyny in its finest form. And y'all can talk till the cows come home. That's what it is. So, you know, if you're what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Somebody told me from the old school. So listen, if you got something for the goose, you better have something for the gander. Quit playing. Now, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for putting that in our news from views this morning. I appreciate you, Auntie Diddy. Thank you. Now, so at the end of the day, that's my dissertation on that clip right there, without getting into all the particulars about how they're out there marching and protesting as they should, because at the end of the day, that's what changes. You know, and let me say this about the protesting and the marching and the screaming and the crying out. And like I say here, a lot of times if I don't do anything else but give you an opportunity to be exposed and aware, then I've done my job. I want you to be aware and know what's happening out here in these streets. That being said, let me go back and pick up a story that has changed this week. You remember I told you all the burn pits that the military soldiers had been exposed to, and Go Ratty came in with some good information on that. The burn pits last week, they voted it down. There was such an outcry from the people. And this is why we talk. This is why we speak up and speak out. There was such a public outcry that these dastardly people had come and basically abandoned our military personnel that are out there risking life and limb and putting their lives at risk. Then come Monday, it was either Monday or Tuesday, they came back and voted on it again, and it won. It passed overwhelmingly. Nothing, absolutely nothing had changed. Nothing, absolutely nothing had changed. They put it back to vote because of the outcry. And this is why we tell you, speak up and say something. Open your mouths and say something. Don't just let this stuff stand. No. Don't let this stuff stand and just let it go on by. Because at the end of the day, shall not pass. This is what we need to say to our politicians by our actions, by our words. We need to say to our politicians when they do dastardly things that we absolutely positively disagree with, we need to get out and say something. I will say when it comes to military, it tends to be more common. Thank you for that subscription, Scratch Wolf. I appreciate you. So much love coming to you, and welcome to the Lion's Den. You are a lion. Now, at the end of the day, I still got to have all the seats up there. At the end of the day, you know, I do want to say, It irritates me the things that we will come out in unity, in a unified effort and speak about, and other things that we won't say a word. Of course, military, when you start talking about military, you're talking about all different ethnicities, you're talking about all genders, you're talking about everything all wrapped up in one, because at that point, you know, when you start talking about your military personnel, it doesn't come from one segment or the other. It's very diversified. So in that, I'm not surprised that we stood up and everybody spoke and hollered and screamed, this is not right. This is not, because it's not right at the end of the day. And I believe it did not just deal with the burn pits in Afghanistan and Iran and Iraq, but it also even went back to Agent Orange. Now, I felt some kind of way when I read that, because y'all know Agent Orange was all the way back in the Vietnam War. And we're just now saying, okay, let's include that in no. And there are so many black men that I know that testified, that came back from Vietnam. And this was their story that they told. Their COs, or their commanding officers, were the ones that were coming around giving them the drugs. Now, the United States we really need to pay attention, and we really need to address our dastardly deeds in that. My cousin, who came from a little small town, who knew nothing. He said he took this little kid out of the country, sent him over into a place ain't never seen, ain't never been, didn't know what was going on. Of course, we always want to get our children fresh and straight out of 18 years old. Those are still babies. And as he said, he got over there, he didn't know nothing about nothing. And the next thing he knew, and he said this is actually the beginning of his drug addiction. The next thing he knew, his CO was coming around giving them the drugs. And at the end of the day, your dad was affected by Agent Orange. I see you, Joanna G. Listen, they had to think about what dastardly deeds they were premeditated. Stop yourselves before you wreck yourselves. Come on here, Cassandra. And it was his testimony, and I believe it, because he didn't have any exposure to drugs in the environment that he was in. And then he talked about the pure cut. Y'all ain't ready for me. These are testimonies from real soldiers. The cut that they got was so pure that he was hooked. And then by the time he came back to the United States, to the mainland, the stuff that they were getting was so watered down. You've heard this too, Kai Chick. I'm telling you, the soldiers were given drugs. They were giving those kids. And again, I want you to remind yourself, these were little kids. And they were like guinea pigs in control. Then darn, come through with that. And he said, he would just weep and cry. And I think I was one of the few people when he was in his state that he would call me. And even at that time, I was in ministry, because I started in ministry when I was 15. And he would just weep and he would cry, and he would weep and he would cry. A lot of people didn't understand the closeness that I had to him in our relationship. But it was the fact that I would listen to him with ears to hear him and understand what he was saying. And he would weep and cry and weep and cry. And he talked about how much he wanted to kick that addiction, but that drug that they were giving them, and they came around and gave it to them just like they're giving out rations and everything else, was so pure cut. And then when he came back here and got the watered down version, you just cannot get that same level of purity and pureness of the drug and the same high that you're trying to get, because not at the point that he wanted to quit. And this was even before we really got into rehabs like we do now. But he wanted to quit, and at the end of the day, just out there with this monkey on his back, as he called it, that he just could not get off. And from that, you go from pills to booze to anything and everything. And add on top of that, the idea of all of the atrocities that you saw and witnessed with your eyes. Now, again, like he said, you take this little country boy, I didn't know nothing for nothing. And when I came back perverted. So, at the end of the day, you're fighting this, and he fought that demon until he died. And at the end of the day, when he started talking about, he and several of his friends all were also sprayed with Agent Orange, and they all came up with these strange cancers. That they claimed they didn't know what it was, they didn't know where it came from, and at that time, the United States was denying and denouncing that they were spraying those boys, only to come back later on and say, yes, we sprayed them. And now, again, as I said, when I read that Agent Orange was also included in this bill that they passed this week, turned it down last week, got the outcry, and then passed it this week overwhelmingly. When I saw that Agent Orange was in there, I had to give it some side eye because, number one, most of those boys are dead, but most of those babies suffered before they died, and the government did it, and they know they did it. And I think this is just dastardly. I think it's just dastardly. And that's real talk. That ain't no made up something. That's not somebody's idea and opinion of let me tell a story and let me tell a lie, because a lot of them will not talk about it. They would not talk about it, could not talk about it, not because somebody was telling them you can't talk about it. They were so tore up and so devastated. And he always called me in a state of inebriation from something. But when he just could not deal with it any longer, that was his way of getting some level of peace and sanity, was to just call. And I may sit on the phone, and I didn't have to say nothing. I may sit on the phone with him for 3 or 4 hours just letting him talk. And baby, when I tell you the stuff that he shared, I don't know how we expect anybody to come away from that and have normalcy without some kind of resources to give them counseling and therapy, because they were jacked up. But needless to say, I said all that to say Agent Orange was in there, and I feel some kind of way because I know some individuals personally that were sprayed and died with all kind of weird maladies. And now in 2022, after they did, you want to say, and we'll include you too, whatever. Whatever they gave the soldiers who went to Desert Storm is now also evident in the PTSD and mental health issues. One of your friends said the same thing. I see you, Dr. Dave. And they might as well quit lying. It's so many people out there that are coming back and telling the truth of the matter. And it's really sad. It's really hard. The drugs were one thing. My dad had so many health issues until he got lung cancer. Joanna G, and my cousin got lung cancer and some other kind of malady of cancer that they couldn't really identify what it was in addition to. And I still say Agent Orange. And then he and his friends and another friend of mine who also had been sprayed with Agent Orange, same. So, at the end of the day, it is what it is. So sad, so wrong, eternally wrong, not to mention all the issues that are left to be addressed. You are absolutely right. I'm going to give it to you, Den Darn, because I promise you, could it be? The devil. Baby, that ain't nothing but that old slimy devil. And those are not stories to be made up. Those are stories that these young men lived through. And it's egregious. And this is what we have done. We turn our young children, 18 and older, over to these forces and think that they're going to take good care of them. But when the system is dastardly, I'm just telling you, it sure isn't a story you're telling. You lived this as well with your dad, Joanna G. I'm telling you, this is true. This is real stuff. And it really gave me a totally different opinion, not only of drug addiction, and the story that he told. Tall pumps. What about all the black men that came back from Vietnam strung out on dope? Absolutely, tall pumps. And I promise you, as my cousin said, he didn't know nothing about heroin. He didn't know anything about the stuff they were giving him over there. This was his introduction from his CO, and they gave it to the whole platoon. So there's a whole lot I could say about that. There's a whole lot I could say about that, tall pumps. And then again, as I said, to get the pure cut there and then to come back and get a watered down version here just led them to all different ways of trying to seek out whatever kind of drugs they could get to try to appease that, as my cousin said, that monkey. If you ain't dealt with that monkey, you don't know about that monkey. And I've seen him go to the altar at church, cry, snot, sincerely tore up, repenting and everything else, but still not having the ability to deal with that monkey. And I don't care, y'all can say what you want to say to me. And I know God is able to do all things And yes, God is. You can say a person has to want to. I saw a man throughout the duration of his adult life, he wanted to, but that monkey on his back, that addiction that he had developed as he was away in the military was stronger than y'all greasing him down with some oil and speaking in tongues over him a few times and laying hands on him and saying, be well. He needed more than that. And I'm just calling a spade a spade. That's real talk. And for somebody, I'm going to make somebody mad with that. And, you're going to feel like, listen, she's talking blasphemous talk. I'm talking real talk. I'm talking about something that I witnessed, watched, and saw with my own eyes. And every time he get on that altar for prayer, every time he would cry out, every time he would go through, I felt his pain because I had listened to him talk. And I knew the pain that he was going through. And, let me just say with that, as I wrap this up, because I'm not trying to drag nobody. I'm not trying to drag anybody. I'm not trying to drag anybody's faith. I'm not trying to drag anybody's religion. I'm just saying there are times, beloved, when people need more than you getting some blessed oil and praying over them and speaking in tongues when they're dealing with some things. Not only the drug addiction, and let me come here while I talk about mental health. And even as Tall Pump said, so many of our black young men came back from Vietnam strung out, but they got strung out. They got strung out from the people that were in charge of them. So at the end of the day, you have to realize not only, and I know the devil's still up there, and so is Dick Dastardly, because it's just dastardly, and it ain't nothing but that old slimy devil. We've got to deal with the idea that there are addictions where to get homeostasis, that's what people are always reaching for. Thank you for that follow. This is what people are trying to get, homeostasis. And when you are strung out and there's a drug addiction that's going on, I want you to understand that there is psychological dependency, but there's also physiological dependency. And this area of dependency, y'all, you're talking about where your body has literally developed a different level of, it is physiologically, your body chemistry, your body system has actually changed. And there are addictions that are not just psychological dependencies. There are dependencies that are completely physiological. And often you'll hear people talk about it from the standpoint, T. Summers, come on in here. So much love to you. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate you and welcome to the Lion's Den. This is real talk, y'all. And that's why I said, I'm not trying to challenge anybody's faith. I'm not trying to tear anybody's religion down. I'm just talking true facts. And this is what we need to talk about, because listen, you can't bury your head in the sand and think it's going to just go away. Lest we end up with Andrew Caldwell, women's. And yeah. So at the end of the day, I don't care how you say you've been delivered. At the end of the day, this is real talk. So I want us to understand the reality of the scenario that, number one, you have a physiological change that can happen so that this individual, the body's going to continuously try to get to a state of homeostasis. And if homeostasis has changed physiologically to where that drug has altered the body system, the body's going to do whatever it can do to try to get that level of homeostasis. It's trying to equalize itself out and get back to some state of normalcy so the person can function. If there's that physiological change that has taken place in that drug addict's body, and we're not talking about a psychological dependency, we're talking about a physiological dependency. This is where you come with, you can have somebody that can have addiction and tendency toward, and at the end of the day, all it takes is that first time and they're hooked. It's not a matter of let me keep taking it over and over again and gradually I'm getting more and more hooked. There are those individuals that have the propensity that the first time they hit it, whatever it is, whether it's alcohol, which is a drug for everybody that wants to say it's not a drug, it is a drug. Whether you want to hit the pipe or whatever, there are those individuals that their body makeup and body chemistry has that where they can hit it that one time and they're hooked. And a lot of people don't believe that. Scratch Wolf, so good to see you. You have a great day too. Thank you for coming in, and I appreciate you. So you can have that level of where, yes, your body may go through a little bit of a different change, and it may take you a while to get hooked, whereas that other person can hit it that first time and they're hooked immediately. Please understand that. Please understand that, because this is how so many times, even in our dealings with one another, we judge people and we speak ill of them, but you don't know what they're going through. You don't know what their body is going through. Is there physiological change that has actually happened? Is this one of the individuals that hit it once and that's all was needed for them to be actually addicted? I ain't talking about in their mind, physiologically addicted. Are they one of those individuals? Then compound that with the idea that I saw little women and children blow themselves up to kill us. I had to walk through minefields where I didn't know if I took the next step, if I was going to be blown to smithereens. I had to watch my comrade and my peer and my friend that became family with me over there in the trenches. I had to watch them be blown to smithereens when they stepped on a landmine. You understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Compound all of that together with the drug, and then put the psychological impact of all of that trauma, shell shock, you name it. And yes, he had PTSD. You put all of that together, you have an individual that needs more than prayer and fasting. And so, at the end of the day, that's all I'm trying to say. And if that helps anybody to get that picture, Miss Robin, good morning to you. Come on in here, love. So good to have you in the Lion's Den. If that gives anybody a better picture of what I'm saying when I say you're not just going to grease somebody up with some oil and then do a few tongues and incantation and in Jesus' name and be healed, be whole, and they just gonna walk off and be okay. Some people need more. So I need us to understand that this is something that I hope we will begin to educate ourselves to understand just a little more better, understand better, because, we judge people and we get angry with people, and maybe, just maybe, we need to step back and say, what are they really dealing with, and what is the answer for help? What is the answer and what's the solution? Because it's not always as cut and dry as it seems. And if I use my cousin for an example, just because they come to the altar and come back next week with that same issue does not mean that they are not sincere. Maybe there's something else in the way of intervention that needs to happen besides just coming to your altar. And I said what I said. This is Yes You Oh Cute. One-on-one, just me and you. And I am your spiritual thought leader, Regina L. Stillman. And you know how we do it in here. No cream, no sugar. We take this coffee strong and black, because I tells it like it T-I-Z-T-is. Now I want to come over. You all been talking over here, and I want to see what you're saying. And I know I said a lot right there because I have a lot of feeling about that. When I said I saw that they put Agent Orange in there, I'm glad that they did, but I'm still giving it some side eye. In all honesty, I'm still giving it some side eye because, we jacked these brothers up. We jacked these brothers up, and I said what I said. So that's I feel some kind of way about that. I'm gonna come up. Good morning, Barbara Hardy. Come on in here. So good to see you. That's my these are they friend. You are them. Come on in, sis. I love you, sis, so much. I'm looking, and I want to go back and read some of you all's statements because I know you were probably talking and sharing while I was pouring out my heart about my cousin, but I still feel so strongly about him. I feel so strongly about him. I saw him go to his grave tormented, and it just hurts my heart. It just hurts my heart. He went to the grave tormented, and he was a good man. He really, really was. And I heard people talk about him. I saw people use him. I saw all kinds of things. And yes, he had some issues. I'm not taking that away. But at the end of the day, if you could ever get underneath that shell, he was a good man that was severely traumatized and addicted from his country. So there you have it. Let me come on back. It sure isn't a story you were telling. You lived this with your dad. I saw that. Come on, Tall Pumps. I saw what you said. We still use Agent Orange. We call it Roundup now. Come on here, Scratch Wolf. And you are not lying about that. And thank you for clearing. And I know Scratch Wolf had to leave, so he's not here. So I know I'm going behind to catch this up. But Roundup is Agent Orange. And at the end of the day, isn't that dastardly? Let me put Dick Dastardly right on back up there. Isn't that dastardly? At the end of the day. Let me keep going. The children that they left behind, what they had when they came back, are they all right? Listen, those kids are torn. Those kids are torn up, and I've seen it. I've seen it with my cousin's offspring, and they fight, they struggle, they go through changes, and it's a lot. It's a lot. And as well as the siblings, you send them off one way and they come back a totally different way. It's hard. It's hard. Groove, now I'm telling you, call on him, because listen, this stuff right here. Reaping season shows up. It ain't nice or pretty, and like DNA, it will not lie. And you're telling the whole truth right there. Coming on down, and I'm looking. When they came back, they were called crazy, and they were truly traumatized. And you're right about that, Joanna G. And I can tell you, even when I say about my cousin, I cannot tell you how many times when I would listen to other family members talk about him, that was the $64,000 word that was always thrown around. That joker's crazy. You know, that joker's crazy. He crazy. He done lost. You know, he really was not. And if you ever, the baby was extremely intelligent. The boy was a phenomenal genius. When I talk about, if you ever hear me talk and share, I had a cousin, this would be him, that he could take a wrecked car and make that car look like it was coming off the showroom floor. That's just how gifted he was in auto body. And then, of course, when my dad couldn't fix my car, especially after my dad had his stroke, my cousin was my go-to. And he could fix anything on a car, under the hood, the body. The boy was a genius. He was very, very intelligent. And while people wanted to say, vocabulary, of course, most people never heard him talk or use his vocabulary, because most of the time they saw him, he was inebriated. But even inebriated, he had a phenomenal vocabulary. But nobody spent the time to really listen to it, because they were just, as soon as they saw him coming, you know, he's one of those family members. As soon as you see him coming down the sidewalk, everybody's scattering and going a different direction, because they don't want to be bothered with him, because he's crazy. But he was not crazy. He was not crazy at all. He was quite sane, to tell the truth. And his sanity was almost driving him crazy, because he understood exactly what he had lived through, every ounce of it. And there was no outlet for it. And that behavior was acting out, but we called it crazy. And a lot of them came back and we called them crazy. And they were nothing more than traumatized and or strung out on drugs that the government gave them. God is making all this come to light. He really, really is. Traumatized, Cassandra. Absolutely. Addiction is a mental, physical, and spiritual disease. I'm glad you said that, Scratch Wolf, and I'm not trying to take away from, as I was talking about, physiological. It does impact all three areas for sure. But definitely understand, even from the standpoint that I'm saying, when you talk about a physiological change that can happen in your body, obviously when that physiological happens and you're going through trying to reach homeostasis, and it takes more and more of a drug, more and more frequently to get that drug, to try to get that level of homeostasis, it's going to have an impact on you mentally, and it definitely has an impact on you spiritually. And I say that additionally when you're down on yourself, because why am I hooked on this drug that I just can't turn it loose? And I want to turn it loose. I want this monkey off my back, but I can't get it off. And even if I go for X number of time without using, once that monkey gets so bad where I feel like I'm literally dying Man, I'm telling you that's some kind of beast. That is some kind of beast, and that's real talk. I'm talking facts, Neek. I'm talking facts up in here. The truth and nothing but the truth, Cassandra Woke. The country tells them they are going to fight the enemy for their country, and that the country does so many things to them. They come back knowing their country was actually the enemy. I've heard that from many vets. Stacy 546. You get those veterans that come back. They are nothing less than bitter. I mean, bitter. And really don't want to talk, don't want to anything about civics and the country or any of that. A lot of them saw some things. They saw some things. They went through some things. They endured some things, and it was nowhere near what they expected to experience. It's as though whatever they were given was stamped in them. There was no letting loose. It had already glued itself on the inside mentally. This had to happen so we know what not to do. Come on through with that, Den Darn. Thank you for that. Yes, you can literally die from drug withdrawal. Yes, ma'am. The fire department spends more time with recovery pens to addicts than fires. And that's a true word. That's a true word. And you know, they got those EpiPens out there working. I went on so many calls of just that nature, Stacy 546, and I'm sure you did. So when we start talking about the resources that we use for fire and police, because Stacy 546 is retired blue, when you start thinking about how many of those calls are actually calls for people, and wouldn't it be? So listen, let me just digress for a moment. When we talk about defunding the police, this is some of the things that we're talking about. If we talk about, and you're not talking about taking money away from the police department, but allocate that money someplace else where it would be more effectively used. Instead of sending a police officer out on a call of that nature, as Stacy said, instead of sending a police officer on a call of that nature, why not have resources of what they actually need? A therapist, a counselor, a drug counselor, you know, whatever the case may be. Maybe we need to look at and identify what really would be effective in this situation, because God forbid that you get out here with somebody that is, say, like my cousin, and at the end of the day, they wake up dead because they've been shot and killed in a police call because they seem like they're raving crazy out of their minds when they really needed intervention. Let's look at these types of things. This is what we speak of and mean when we say defund the police. Reallocate those dollars instead of to somebody that's going to shoot first and ask questions later. Let's reallocate those funds to some other means of intervention for other types of situations. It's sad when people have mental illnesses and they wake up dead from the popo. It's sad when people, like my cousin, going through certain situations and seemingly being crazy, acting crazy. Man, they need somebody to do some other kind of intervention other than sending armed officers that are going to shoot and kill and then be like, oh, you know, I feared for my life. So this is what we mean when we talk about defund the police. And thank you for saying that this is just the experience that you had while you were out there. Thank you for that. This is why there are so many crack addicts in the world. When they get that first taste, it's pure. And when they go for the second one, it's watered down, and they keep chasing it and never find it. And you're speaking a true word there. And many times that is the tactic, truck driver. That is the tactic of those that want to get them hooked, is to give them that pure taste first, give them that pure stuff first, get their mouths wet, get their systems prepped and ready, get their systems on high. And then after that, you can't now automatically understand that once you get that first high, the highs thereafter are not going to hit and equal that first high. But many times it is because they've gone from whoever got them hooked with that first pure hit or more pure than what you're going to get later on. And then later on, what they have access to is much less than that. That's not uncommon in that scenario as well. But just understand as well, that first high, you're going to always be chasing that first high and you'll never catch it. And it just is. You're going to always be chasing that first high and you'll never catch it. And that's just the way it is. So thank you for that. It's a fact. On the weekend, I see it over and over again. There is a war, but it ain't on drugs. Come on. I hear you talking, Tall Pumps. Come on and talk to me. Thank you. I love you too. And I'm glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you're here, Cassandra Woke. Nope, the war is on the people. Come on, Stacy. Y'all making it plain up in here. You used to be a correctional officer. We used to deal with people going through drug, alcohol withdrawals a lot. Come on with that, Neat. And unfortunately, a lot of times what gets them in the system is that drug or that dependency. And something about that drug has taken them over, and they start operating and maneuvering in behavior that ends up putting them in a situation to then have to encounter people like yourselves as correctional officers. And withdrawal ain't no punk, y'all. And I have not been through withdrawal from a drug, but I'm gonna tell you what, I've watched. So at the end of the day, I'm telling you, coming on down, you had a brother that got hooked on crack by tasting it for the first time, and he chased that first feeling until the day he passed away from lung cancer. And that is not uncommon. And again, my condolences and my care and my love to you, truck driver. But that's true. That's true talk. That's true talk. And this is the conversation that we need to start having more in our communities so we can understand what it is that we're dealing with. And let's stop demonizing the individuals and let's start working through what the real issues are. Addiction is vicious and affects everyone around that person. And you are absolutely correct, T. Summers. And thank you for sharing that. And that being said, you know, I encourage everybody, when I was going through my program, my degree was in human services administration. So I went through with a concentration in addiction and addiction counseling. And I think I was much driven that direction because of my cousin and seeing the pain that he went through and understanding from a different vantage point instead of judgmentalism. My heart had a compassion and a tenderness towards addicts, because if you ever can hear the addict's story, if you can ever get an opportunity to hear why. And many times the addiction is turned to because there was a woundedness already there, or whatever the case may have been. Some individuals, it's different scenarios, but there are all kinds of background stories. But people many times don't have time to hear or want to hear that background story. We're just mad at them because they're an addict. But why are they an addict? Let's back up for a minute. Why are they an addict? Many times, I cannot tell you how many times I've had individuals, women and females that have come to me who are addicts now, but they started as an addict because they were sexually abused. They started in their addiction because they had secrets in their past of abuse that they were unable to deal with. And so they started trying to use this and use that. And the next thing you know, they're strung out. Or alcoholic. And at the end of the day, there's a core issue that is not presenting itself visibly, but it's there. And we see the offshoots, we see the outcroppings, the outgrowth of what's at the core. But this is my thing. We got to get to the core. We have to get to the core and the root and stop demonizing the individuals. And let's really get to why. And sometimes the individuals don't know why. They just know they're traumatized. They know they're wounded. They know that they're hurting, and they're trying to find some means of pacifying that. They're trying to find some means to calm the pain. They're trying to find some means of being able to deal with the trauma that they can't talk about. They're trying to find some means of dealing with the secret that they've been carrying since they were a little kid. They're trying to deal in the best way that they know how. And when they feel trapped on the inside, no place else to turn, these other options present themselves. So and I'm gonna say that even if you hey, the nymphomaniac, and we get out and we start talking about child, every time you turn around they just a sex addict. Listen, addictions develop for reasons, and the behaviors are actually just nothing more than looking at the external of what's really going on at the core and at the root, if you can understand what I'm saying. So instead of demonizing that sex addict and say, oh, she's just a nympho, he's just a nympho, maybe we need to understand, why are they a nympho? and stop talking about them like they're trash. And maybe we need to understand, maybe daddy been tingling and fingering, and maybe that's what prompted and started all of this behavior. Maybe, I'm telling you, I've seen babies with swollen genitalia from folks that been fiddling and fondling. So, and then you want to turn around and talk about the kids. And it's like, why are you talking about the kid? This child is a victor. We're not victims in here. We're victors. But this child is a potential victor. And y'all want to talk about him like a dog, but nobody has stopped to see, where is this pain coming from? Where is this coming from? And stop demonizing the people, and let's look at what's really going on. And I just had to get that out, y'all, and let me move on. But so when you talk about addiction is vicious and affects everyone and around them. So listen, you got Alateen, you got Al-Anon, you got AA, you got all of these different groups and supports that are out here for everybody, because obviously, it's very common that once you come in contact and you're in the circle of a person that is an addict, then it's very easy for you to become an enabler. And sometimes we have to learn alternate means of not being enabling in our behaviors. And so the system doesn't just continue to get farther and farther spiraling out of control. Maybe I need to go to Al-Anon. Maybe I need to go to Alateen for my children, instead of just trying to get my loved one to go to AA. Sometimes you need some resources, and sometimes you need some counseling and support to also help and undergird you, because some of your behavior is just straight up enabling. So, I want us to deal with that. Everybody deal with it, because it does, as you said, T, it affects everybody. It affects everybody, not just the individual. It affects everybody. And if the whole family system is sick and nobody's getting well, what are we doing here? And then we have children and we birth them into that broken system and then wonder why they're bouncing off the walls. And hey, and so these are the things that we need to talk about. Our young people now, man, they're cutting. We got cutters. We got cutters out here, kids trying to deal with stuff and they don't know how to deal with it and stuff and trauma. And listen, I want y'all to understand, even if you all don't talk about it in the home, children sense this stuff. They can feel it, y'all. They can feel it. They can pick it up. They're spiritual beings as well. Don't deceive yourselves. Just because whatever you think you're hiding from them and trying to keep it under wraps, they sense this stuff. And so at the end of the day, especially if you want to address it and talk about it, but they feel all of this, because listen, energy is real. You can feel that energy. They feel all this energy going on in the house, and nobody wants to talk about all of this crazy energy that's loose in the house, and they don't know how to deal with it. And they're going in their room and they're cutting themselves, and they're having bulimia, and they're going in and eating and then purging afterwards, because listen, all of these things are impacting our children. And at the end of the day, we've got to address it. And we've got to address it for what it is. But I'm encouraging us to stop addressing it from the standpoint of demonizing somebody. And let's get down to the point of saying, let's have a conversation and see what's at the root here. What's really at the root? And then start from the root and work out. So I said what I said, and I mean what I said. And I hope y'all can still love me. It's chemical warfare. And at the end of the day, these drug programs are more of the same soup warmed over, while the government still gets a check. And it can be dastardly. There are a whole lot of them just getting that money. And I hear you. They call it chasing the dragon. You will never get the high you got that first time. And you're exactly right, den darn. And you'll never get it. And if you've ever been, and I enjoyed the times that I went to AANACA, I went to all the A's. And people are like, well, what are you? I'm just, hey, I'm addicted. And I've been addicted to it, and no substance. Oh, but y'all ain't ready for me. But a lot of y'all are church addicted, and you don't want to acknowledge that. So religion can become an addiction too, just in case you didn't know it. Now, You know why most of these people get sent to jail when most of them should have been sent to rehab or a center or a hospital. Come through, Stacy 546. There aren't enough rehab centers, or they don't have enough beds, and hospitals are too expensive to send them to, so they just send them to jail because they have the bed space. And they get the free labor if they go to prison. So there you have it. Thank you for that, Stacy. I appreciate you. I see you giving that yes, Lord T. Come through. One of your coworkers believes she and her siblings are experiencing several health issues due to her father's exposure to Agent Orange. Oh my, and I can see that. Oh boy, orange causes us problems. Houston, ask 45. He got the orange DNA. Come on here, Cassandra. Yeah, plus the jails, prisons make off of the inmates. Exactly, Neek. The fuller the jails and the prisons, the more money they get, and that's the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Are they not able to sue on behalf of their father's exposure to this? You know, I don't know, then darn what, and you can tell Joanna G if you have any experience or knowledge about the survivors or the children, spouses of individuals that suffered from Agent Orange. If there's anything that addresses that, I'm going to assume that, again, this bill that they passed on this week, again, overwhelmingly after being turned down last week, at the outcry of the people. I want to keep stressing that because I want you to know your voices matter, and I hope that you'll speak up. If you know anything about that, as far as what all you have access to now, and again, this bill provides something, and I don't know everything that's in that bill, so you might want to go check it out. Does it provide for children, spouses, offspring, survivors, that kind of thing? I don't know. Coming on down, and I'm looking, seeing someone go through drug alcohol withdrawal is scary and sad. It really is. It really is. And it is torturous for anybody that has not witnessed it, that has not experienced it, and may or may not know. And again, it's easy to throw stones and cast and pass judgment. But man, if you've never seen anybody suffer from withdrawal, you ain't seen it's hard. It's hard. That's all I can say. It's hard. It ain't nothing pretty. Nothing pretty. A big petition should be made of all the children that are suffering because of this. Thank you on that. I agree. I meant signed by all the government, be made accountable to pay for this. Coming on down. I see you, T. Starting with the why always exposes the root cause. And there she is. That's why I call her the high priestess. You got to start with the why. You got to start with the why. If we're going to heal our communities, and if we're going to heal the land. I see you, Lynette Dickerson. Come on in, Queen. So much love to you. Come on in here. Love you so much. Welcome to the Lion's Den. If we're really going to address and change, we're talking about, I'm not just talking about change, but we want to be the change that we want to see. And I'm going to come on back live because I think that's going to be it for me on today, because I want to be on time to get to Rebel on this raid train. But I want us to start approaching your situations, your discord, as Dr. Dady teaches about pivoting past the discord. Get to the why. Let's even take my studio this morning. My studio this morning, I was doing everything I could to get sound. I was doing everything I could to get sound in this studio. At the end of the day, you got to figure out why. Why do I not have sound? What is it that has taken sound out of my studio? And it was not until the Rebel Inc. reached out and was like, hey, you got to get to the why. Did this right here. And at the end of the day, that was the why. In spite of me, I was all in my settings. I was clicking this audio. I was clicking that audio. I was doing this, doing that, and doing the other. But I had not hit the why. And until I hit the why, there's no sound. There's no result. There's no effectiveness. So I want to go to that. And I want to really jump jump all over Dr. Dady Priest and the comment that she has made, that until you get to the why, you've got to start with the why. And that always exposes the root issues. Until you get to that root issue, baby, you're not going to have any sound in your studio. You understand the words that are coming out of my mouth. There will be no sound in your studio till you get to the root cause. There will be no answer, no resolution, no change until you get to the root. And listen, all of my levers, all of my meters, all of my bars were showing sound. They were all, matter of fact, I was going through changing this and changing that, and then coming back, it went from the green and the yellow and went over in the red, but still no sound because I hadn't gotten to the why. Doesn't matter how much I was able to see what the visual was telling me, you got sound. The visual was telling me it's loud and clear. The visual was telling me one thing, but I still had not gotten to the why. Why is my studio not playing sound? Why can the people not hear me? And this, I want you to really, really take to heart. Start in your lives dealing with the why so you can get to the root. And I'm going to say it once more and again, if I say it 1,000 times in this stream today, stop demonizing the people. Get down to the why. Get down to the why. Even in yourselves, some of you have shortchanged yourself, discounted yourself, been disappointed with yourself, abused yourself, been angry at yourself, beat yourself down. You've done all of this, but you will not get down to your why. I want you first and foremost to begin with yourself. Get down to your why. In any area where there's discord in your life, if you're going to pivot past the discord, you got to get the why so you can understand what the real issues are. Otherwise, you'll just be going around the mulberry bush. You'll be going around the merry-go-round. We'll go around in circles. We'll go around in circles. You got to get down to the why. Thank you for that, High Priestess. I appreciate you. So there you see it. You've seen it more than you like, and it hurts to your core. I'm telling you, it's really something. It's really something, Tall Pumps. I see you. So at the end of the day, T, you worked with children and youth, and you read the most horrible stories. Yes. When I first came out of high school, I worked nights as I was going to school. I worked nights at a children's facility center. And I tell you, 5-year-olds that act out rape, 5-year-olds that act out rape. But if you could understand the stuff that they've been through, one little baby, I can see him right now, even as I'm talking to you. And that little boy, I don't know if he made it in life to be an adult. I just don't know. Just so the story of just that one child. And I was in the lockup facility, so y'all think they only have detention for teenagers, but I was in the lockup facility for little kids. Did you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth? I was in the lockup facility for little kids. Woo! Never seen anything like it in my life. And the stories of the children that were in there were just absolutely astonishing. I mean, it would just leave your mouth hanging open, and you just wonder to yourself, who can do this to a little child? And the place was full, and the facility was full. So let that sink in. Man, I'm telling you, it's T. I know you've seen and read some things. So most of my young rape cases, the perp was in the house. Come on with that, Michelle Brownell. And that, I don't think that's uncommon. Most of the young rape cases, the perp was in the house. And that there it is. There it is. You can't over-sexualize the children and then talk about them after you created a whole mess. Come on with that, Tall Pumps. Absolutely. The codependency is real, toxic, and unhelpful. Come through with that T. Y'all talking in here. The village that should be able to raise children is in need of much help itself. That's because a lot of the people that are trying to be helpers are wounded. And wounded healers trying to heal is a disaster. You understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Wounded healers, and this goes right on up to the pulpit in the church. Wounded healers trying to heal is a hot mess. And let me just call a spade a spade. Doesn't have anything to do with how much they love God. Doesn't have anything to do with whether or not they saved or not. Wounded healers trying to heal is a whole mess, and you better believe that. Oftentimes, folk become addicts trying to mute unaddressed trauma, and you are absolutely correct on that. You've been to AANA, and most of the childhood with relatives kept me away from the life. Come on with that. It will help you. It will help you if you want it to, if you open yourself up and come on through. In Northeast Pennsylvania, many high-profile politicians and legal people were involved and exposed to a pipeline to prison racket that they had against the young people. It ruined thousands of young lives. And listen, it's still going on today. It's the new slavery, T. It's the new slavery. Come on with that. So talk to me. Locking up children. I was in the lockup facility I didn't know it existed myself until I went there. And at the end of the day, I was shocked, stunned, and amazed by what I saw in that facility. But those stories, but when I tell you this one young man, this little 5-year-old at the time when I was there, if he lived to be an adult, I would be surprised. He was on a trajectory that said young death. And that's all he just was. He was on a trajectory that said young death, but it started from being fondled from the time he was birthed into this world. And he was completely out of control. He was completely out of control and delusional. So even with the meds, we've had an interesting conversation today. I hope that it's been beneficial to you all, because this is real talk. This is real talk. This is the type of conversation I feel like we need to have in our community, especially in the Black community, because we've got traumas upon traumas upon traumas. And I've said this before. There is, in the neurological sciences of those that study the brain, there is literally proven, recorded tests that show that when you go through trauma, the brain literally goes through changes. When you go through trauma, your brain literally goes through changes. These are areas that we need to talk about, and we need to educate ourselves, and we need to be made more aware. And if you think about all the trauma and drama that Black folks have been through almost nonstop repeatedly in this country, do you understand the impact and for some, the fragility of our brains, of our emotions, of our thoughts, of our spirits? And when you take all of this to heart, and this isn't a sad, oh my God, this is just horrible. It's an awareness. I had an auntie that worked for the VA hospital in the psych unit. I believe the majority of her time that she worked. We need more. We need more. We need more. We need more. We need to be able to address the psychology and the sickness, the addictions, the maladies that we're dealing with in our community. And again, why did I spend so much time today talking about this particular topic? Because I want us to stop demonizing the people, and let's get down to the root. Let's get down to the root. And as I close out today, to reiterate and to echo again what Dr. Dady Priest said earlier, until we get to the why, we've got to start asking the why. We've got to start exploring. You got things going on with your children. You got things going on with yourselves. Stop dealing with that stuff that's on the peripheral. That peripheral stuff is just the offshoots of what's really coming from the root. You got stuff going on with your kids. Stop talking about the kids. Stop. I'm done with them. I'm done with him. I'm done with her. Let's get down to the root. Something is going on with this baby. Something is going on with this young man. Something is going on with this young woman. Let's get down to the why. And I can testify, a lot of our children are not telling the parents what we've been through. Been there, done that. Parents don't know what we've been through. The parents don't know where we've been traumatized. Parents are clueless. And at the end of the day, before you throw your child away, Try to get down to the root. Why is my baby acting like this? Why is my baby strung out on drugs? Why is my baby acting in such a manner? There is a why more times than not. Believe me when I tell you that. There is a why. Don't demonize. As Dr. Dady said, when you get down to the why, you can get to the root of the matter. And there you have it. There we have it.
Oh, I feel for my brother.
Well, I feel for my brother. I feel for my sister. I feel for my babies in the street. I feel for our old men. I feel for our young men. I feel for our old women and our young children. What's the why? So we can get down to the root of the matter. At the end of the day, we're not going to demonize each other. We're going to really get down to that why. It may take a little work. It may take some therapy. It may take a counselor. It may take a psychiatrist. Whatever it takes, baby, get down to the why. Then add a little fasting and prayer. Add a little bit, and you'll be all right. We're getting ready to change this world. We got dreams and visions, Cassandra, but we can't change the world if we need to be changed. You understand what I'm saying? We cannot change the world if we need to be changed, because wounded healers trying to heal wounds is not the answer. Now, I am your spiritual thought leader, Regina L. Stillman. Listen, this has been another day of Yes You Oh Cute. It's a little different today, but listen, it's tight, but it's right, and it's real up in here. You know how we do. No cream, no sugar. We take this coffee strong and black, because I tells it like it T-I-Z-Tis. Now follow me out there, babies. You can follow me on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Patreon, Discord, and more. I'm out there, y'all. And I appreciate you following me. I really do. Your support means the world. You know our mantra. We don't have a spirit of intimidation. We don't have a spirit of fear. We've got power. We got love. We got a sound mind. And because we do it in love, I am all powerful in love. Greater is the love that's in me than anything that's in this world. And at the end of the day, we're not just talking about change, but we're going to be the change. And listen, you're not in it alone. I'm not asking you to do it by yourself. I'm telling you, this pride, Pride, this Pride Alliance is relentless, and you're going to hear us roar, because it's us, you, me, we all. We're all in this boat together. Now, you've been with me today, not in the den of iniquity, but this is the den full of good love and activity. I want to appreciate my moderators. They are the best in the world. The Rebel Inc., Michelle Brownell, and Shelly Thunder. Those three beautiful angels of mine. That's my blessed Trinity. Thank you so much for all that you do. Bomba 0711, thank you so much for following today. Welcome to the Lion's Den. And Scratch Wolf, thank you for subscribing today. I'm so glad that you are amongst the lions, and we're so glad to have you. Now listen, we're getting ready to go over to the Rebel Inc. She's a part of a raid train today for Beauty for You. Y'all, please ride this raid train over, copy that raid train message, and come go with us. We will do you good. You know how we say, have an excellent, awesome, wonderful day on purpose, and peace for your journey.
I feel for my brother.